Okay, well, welcome everybody. We don't have as good a sound quality here on the video as we do in the commission chambers. So if you would just speak up when you get to the lectern, that would be really appreciative. We are live streaming, and then also this video will be on YouTube along with the rest of the county commission meetings. So thank you in advance. And to welcome new county clerk, Kayla. Congratulations, treasurer again, Tracy. Congratulations, Sheriff Applehands. Congratulations. And also Chelsea, congratulations. Congratulations, Commissioner Johnson. And we'll get started. Item number 3, public hearings. Flutie variance application VAR-01-22. Is there anybody in the room who would like to speak on or against the Flutie variance application VAR-01-22? Start here in the room and then we'll go online if there's anybody. Right, how about online? Did anybody speak on or against the Flutie variance application VAR-01-22? Last call. Commissioners, I entertain a motion to close that public hearing.
I so moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed to the side. That motion carries. I'd like to open up the Howell Acre subdivision final plat application SD-08-22. Anybody in the room on or against the Howell Acre subdivision final plat application SD-08-22?
Chairman Gosar, my name is Megan Getz. I'm the attorney for the applicant. We're here and we'll reserve any comments or questions during the regular agenda item.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Getz. How about online? On or against the Howell Acre subdivision final plat application SD-08-22? Last call. Entertain a motion, commissioners, to close that public hearing.
I so moved. Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 4, comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public? If you'd like to, we'll go in person here and then we'll go online if there are comments. Comments from the public. Okay, Haynes, good morning. The floor is yours.
First, I want to thank you guys for your service, and I want to congratulate all the successful candidates that were elected, and thank you for running, for all it takes to do that. What I want to do is kind of, repetition is the mother of retention. So I want to thank you for taking the oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And I want to remind you that that's your job. You have a lot of administrative things that come up, and you have to deal with those as fiduciaries of the county. But every decision you make, every ordinance you write, must be in compliance with the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Wyoming. Just for the audience, and I'm sure the commissioners know, in order to be a state, the Wyoming Constitution has to conform entirely to the U.S. Constitution. So when you uphold the U.S. Constitution, you're upholding the Wyoming Constitution and vice versa. Now, a couple of things have happened in our state that maybe you weren't aware of or aware of. If you are aware of your awesome power representing our constitutional rights. A couple of years ago up in Lincoln County, the Forest Service closed the road to the Wyoming Range, starting at Albany, because of a landslide. Well, there are businesses on the Wyoming Range that depend on that road. They're recreational type businesses. And so what do those people do? And the people in Albany depend on that road for tourists and for the recreation. Well, I was called up there to meet this, and I met with a couple of county commissioners, not enough so that it's a quorum. And I met with the mayor of Albany, and I pointed out to them their constitutional authority over that road. It's in their county. You're in charge of every square inch of Albany County. under the Constitution. And I told them that if they would direct the sheriff to open that road, he could. Just open the gate and remove the sign. Now, we still have a landslide to do. So I went and visited with J.R. Simplot over in Idaho. It's just over the line, and most of the employees and the administration live in somewhere in the Star Valley. Well, J.R. agreed to, if they were requested by the county, to come and deal with that landslide, because in their mind, they were landslides all the time. Well, they came, opened the meeting, dealt with the landslide, and commerce. Now, you have that kind of authority, but you also have a constitutional responsibility. And you are culpable if you violate it. Now, there's a case before the Supreme Court that will be heard in conference where the Congress, this president, violated their oath of office by not upholding the Constitution with a 10-day investigation of the complaints against the election. The case is not about the election. It's not about whether or not there was fraud. It's about their duty when there are complaints, a significant number. There's a 10-day window where they should have held an investigation. Now, overturning the election and all of that's not part of what they needed to do to investigate the complaints, but they didn't. So now the Congress is culpable. Those that voted to certify the election without investigation, they are culpable under the Constitution. And we'll see what the Supreme Court says. Now, I don't mean that to be a threat. I want you to know about your awesome power. And I want you to know about your awesome responsibility to uphold and defend the Constitution. Couple other reminders. Economic development is not your job. Not. Your job are ordinances that protect the Constitution and the rights of the citizens. Economic development is up to the business community. They will just fix our economy. Now, you have to protect everyone's rights. That's hard at times because sometimes people don't like what some business wants to do. But if that's constitutional, you have no recourse but to approve. Now, you have to hold that business responsible as citizens of the community. For instance, wind farm, we all fought over, we all had this and that. But if they had a right to do it, they do. You need to hold them responsible to be good citizens of this county. They need to not fill our landfill with their trash. They need to inter it on the place where they are before. So things like that you can do and stay within the Constitution and you're totally protected. So with that, I'll end my comments.
Thank you, Ken.
Anybody else in the room to make a public comment? Yes, sir, please.
Be perfect. And I yield my time to Dr.
Well, there's always concern that elected officials sometimes assume too much power. But we've handed you the keys to the county. As you know, the county and the county commission is the basic seat of power in our republic. You supersede the city because your city is in the county and city residents are county residents. You guys are the authority in the county and the city. So I would like to see ordinances that protect constitutional rights and uphold public health and safety. And there's always a debate about what is public health and safety, law enforcement, fire and rescue, and then sanitation. But what about just general decorum in our city and in our county? You can't legislate morals, and we don't expect you to, but we do expect legislation that allows free people to be free. Let me give you some examples of things that I would like to clean, and some of these issues will come up again. For instance, no government authority has the right to mandate masks, has the right to mandate vaccines. Now, under the Constitution limits the government, doesn't limit private business, except when private business purports to do bodily harm. For instance, if my employer wants to force me to get a vaccine, my government should protect me from that. That's a personal medical choice. Now, we can decide if I work there or not, but not whether or not I put something I don't want in my body, or whether or not I wear a mask. We can argue about effectiveness of those things, mass vaccines. I don't want to do that. That's not what this forum is for. It's for your authority to protect my God-given rights to be free, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Liberty, then it's my choice to do whatever I want, short of infringing on someone else's constitutional rights, short of breaking the law. Now, we have statutes that are unconstitutional, and the way to get around those is for me to come to you, and go to the legislature and say, these are unconstitutional for these reasons. And then we can have that debate, but it's not up to me to disobey the law. You see what I mean? So what I want you to do, and the reason you have first reading, second reading, third reading, between those readings, then you have a chance to compare the legislation to the Constitution and decide if it doesn't fit, what's the purpose of this legislation? How do we make it fit? How do we solve this problem? How do we get this thing moved forward without violating the Constitution? So that's what I expect. Okay, thank you.
Just to let you know, the county does not have a first, second, and third reading process.
You know,
And we don't, that's the city
so what is our process?
with regard to
Legislation, ordinances.
ordinances. They're statutorily defined. So
Okay.
depending on which body they originate at. So if we're planning and zoning, they go through a public process, 30 days. And then it comes to us, and then it goes out for 45 days.
Right, so during that period, you have time to compare it.
Right. I didn't want anybody to think that there's a first, second, and third
And I
reading.
apologize for that, it's my error. They do that in the legislature where I spend most of the time. But you have an opportunity before you vote to review it. And I'm sure you're doing this a lot of work. I realize that you also have lives, professions. And I realize it. So I'm just saying, compare those things that come forward with the process through the Constitution, and it gives you a chance to maybe suggest corrections before it's time for you to vote. And I think that would be a good approach.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Comment? How about online? Ready? Last chance, Zoom online or in person for public comment? Okay, commissioners, I entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
Move that we close that public comment period. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 5, disclosures. Commissioner Rivera, any disclosures?
I have
Commissioner
none.
Goss? Commissioner Gosar also none. Item 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Staff, any changes to the agenda? All right, and item 7, approval of the consent agenda. Commissioners, you can pull something out, you can approve it as it is, whatever your pleasure. And I'd entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That gets us on to item 8. And as you know, this will be the last official duty for me as the chairperson of 2022. And so with a limited commission of only 3 people, we are able to do Robert's rules in so much as I reserve the right to second a motion. If not, that kind of stalls our body with just 2. So I'd entertain a motion for chairperson on the Board of County Commissioners for 2023.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Gosar to continue being our chair for the Board of County Commissioners.
Is there a second? I'll second. It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign.
Nay.
That motion carries. Thank you. So item 9, present for consideration the Flutie variance request application VAR 01-22. Joe, good morning. The floor is yours.
Morning, commissioners.
You'll have to speak up, Joe, because we're having a hard time catching.
How loud do I need to be?
Get your outside voice on, Joe.
All right, the applicant is Michael Flutie, located at 353 Roger Canyon Road. Request is to approve a variance request from the Albany County zoning resolution. Current zoning is rural residential / agricultural. Current use is residential. Access is from Roger Canyon Road. There were some reviews. Chelsea Matthews, the assessor, had no concerns. Road and Bridge, Rob Fisher had no concerns. Laramie Rivers Conservation District, Holly Dyer, had no additional comments other than the ones attached to the subdivision application. And YDOT Taylor McCourt had no comments. Variance requirements, notice has been provided by posted sign, publication, and certified mailing as required. Findings necessary for approval, the granting of the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to the other properties in the vicinity. The granting of the variance will not constitute a grant of special privilege, inconsistent with the limitations on use of other properties in the district. The hardship, which is the basis for the variance application, was not self-inflicted by the applicant. The granting of the variance is justified for one or more of the following reasons. Strict interpretation or enforcement of the development standards would result in practical difficulty or unnecessary physical hardship inconsistent with the purposes of this resolution. Exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the site of the variance that do not apply generally to the other properties in the same district. And strict interpretation or enforcement of the development standards would deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by other property owners in the same district, or the variance will bring the applicant into substantial parity with other property owners in the same district. Findings of fact, the findings necessary for approval, applicant responses, the staff and staff analysis as referenced in this report are affirmatively adopted as findings that the applicant has provided the board with adequate information, that the requested required findings, documentation, notice, and notations have been satisfied by the applicant, and the same are incorporated herein. Conclusions of law, the applicant is proceeding in accordance with and is in compliance with the requirements of the Albany County zoning resolution, chapter 5, section 14. Staff analysis, the applicant is requesting a variance from the Albany County zoning resolution, chapter 3, section 3, D6A. A site-specific investigation shall be performed for all APOZ development proposed within the APOZ. Following the lawsuit that was ruled against the county on November 16, 2022, void ab initio, the western boundary for the Casper Aquifer Protection Area reverted back to the western boundary established in the 2008 Casper Aquifer Protection Area. This moved the line almost all the way to the eastern border of this parcel. Future development of the larger parcel of the proposed subdivision would be limited by the following. A future subdivision would require a zoning district amendment from agricultural to rural residential or smaller. Go through the major subdivision process because they could not subdivide an already subdivided lot without going through the major process, which would require DEQ review / recommendation and other additional standards. And the owner could not put a second dwelling on the larger piece of the property because they would not have the 70 acres needed to put another dwelling on the property. Based on the limitations on what could be done on the larger parcel, staff's opinion is that the necessity of a site-specific investigation would not provide additional benefit to the review of the subdivision application. Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously voted to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve the Flutie variance request, BAR 0122, adopting and incorporating the staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusions of law as each are stated in this staff report.
Thank you, Joe. Commissioners, any questions for Joe before the motion? Can I entertain a motion for item 9, please?
I move that we accept the application for the Flutie variance request, including findings of facts.
There's a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Item 10, present for consideration the Howell Acres subdivision final plat application SD-08-22 and the subdivision permit. Joe, please.
All right. The applicant was Coffee Engineering Surveying, Jared Ralph. Owner is Garrett Howell. located at Ebbets Acres Lot 3. The request is to approve a final plat application and a subdivision permit. Current zoning is rural residential. Current use, there is one residence on the property. Access will be from Strom Road, Ebbets Lane, and Post Springs Road. There were some reviews. Chelsea Matthews, the assessor, has no concerns. County engineer Jake Schneider has some comments regarding the engineering report and preliminary plat, but everything has been taken care of. Luke Hawkins, Albany County Fire, has no concerns but recommends the Hall Water Program. Laramie Rivers Conservation District, Martin Curry, believes this is a suitable use for the parcel. He noted that erosion should not be an issue with respect to water runoff on slopes, but wind erosion and weed encroachment on disturbed land may be an issue. Care should be taken to minimize the land disturbance. They also encourage rural small acre landowners to test their well every 3 to 5 years. His full comments can be seen in the review section. YDOT Taylor McCourt had no comments, and City of Laramie Todd Feeser recommends approval of the subdivision, but made some comments. His full comments can be seen in the review section as well. Summary of subdivision permit requirements. Water, lots will be provided domestic water from individual wells. Sewage, lots will be provided sewage systems by individual systems that will need to be applied for through the Albany County Planning Office. A Wyoming DEQ review was done, and the information can be found in the May 11th, 2022 Planning and Zoning packet. Storm drainage report was complete for this proposal and reviewed by Jake Schneider. Utilities, Rocky Mountain Power provides power to the area. U.S. Postal Service is existing. No new roads are proposed. Road maintenance, this property is within the Post Springs Community Special Road Improvement District. The new property owners will need to pay into the district. Financial assurance was not required. Fire protection will be provided by Albany County. The applicant has paid into the Hall Water Program, and notice has been provided in accordance with the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Regulations, Chapter 4, Section 9. Findings of fact, the summary of subdivision permit requirements, applicant responses, and staff analysis as referenced in this report are affirmatively adopted as findings that the applicant has provided the board with adequate information that the requested and required findings, documentation, notice, and notations have been satisfied by the applicant, and the same are incorporated herein. Conclusions of law, the applicant is proceeding in accordance with and is in compliance with the requirements of the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Regulations. Staff analysis, the final plat complies with the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Regulations. The subdivision is being proposed in an area that has previously been developed into a residential community. The lots will be accessed from Strom Road, Ebbets Lane, and Post Springs Road. The 5 lots will be similar in size to the surrounding lots. Planning and Zoning Commission voted 4-1 to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners approval of the Howell Acres subdivision final plat application SD 0822 and a subdivision permit adopting and incorporating the staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusions of law as each are stated in this staff report. Commissioner Tyne was the only dissenting vote.
Thank you, Joe. Commissioners, any questions for Joe?
Yeah, Joe, do you recall what Commissioner Stein's reservation was to approve this?
He did not give a reason. They're not required to, but I would assume that it had to do with the impacts created by wastewater potentially in this area.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion for item 10 then.
I move that we approve the Howell Acres subdivision final plat application and a subdivision permit, adopting and incorporating the staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusion of law as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 11, Joe, you've got a big reading day today, so present for consideration, release of the letter of credit provided for required improvements to the Spotted Horse South subdivision.
Yeah, so the Spotted Horse South subdivision was recently inspected by Jake Schneider, county engineer, and he has determined that the required improvements have been properly completed, and the applicant is asking for a release of the letter of credit provided for the improvements.
Joe, commissioners, any questions? Joe? I'd entertain a motion for item 11.
I move that we accept the release of the letter of credit. Spotted Horse South.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all's in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
I,
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 12. Then for consideration, renewal of the 2022 mobile home park licenses for Chaparral Gardens and four-wheeler trailer park. And Joe, this is 2022 licenses.
Correct.
Okay, I just want everybody to know that it's 2023, and I'd like to send that message out to Chaparral Gardens and four-wheeler trailer park. Been overdue, and appreciate it working with us, getting those things done in a timely manner this year. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so we have finally gotten their applications. So yeah, they're recommended for license renewal.
Any questions, commissioners?
Yeah, Joe, where is the Wheeler Trailer Park?
It is. How do I describe this? Fort Sanders area?
Okay, on the west side of 287?
Yes,
East side of.
west side.
Okay.
It's the west side.
Any further questions? I'd entertain a motion for 12 then, please.
I move that we move item 12 as
a second.
Any further discussion? Seeing that, all's in favor, saying aye. Carries. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Item 13, present for approval, grant agreement between the State of Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, State Historic Preservation Office, and Albany County Conservation Board for the purpose of completing the National Register of Historic Places District Combination, West Side Neighborhood, project in an amount not to exceed $21,600 from the effective date through September 30, 2024. Bailey, looks like you have it today.
Good morning, commissioners. A few months ago, Karen Bard presented the application to you in regards to making the west side on the historic, National Historic Preservation List. This grant application is to help do that. They're receiving $21,600 to do that. They're roughly $13,000 required for match. I do know that when she did present, the match was up for discussion as well. She's trying to get the city to match half of that and then the county to match the other half of that 13,000. I do not have an update on what she's discussed with the city. So at this time, you'd be committing to the full 13,000 if you agree with that. Any questions?
Bailey, any questions?
Yes, Bailey, what's the area that's encompassed by this west side?
I believe it's just west of the tracks. However,
West of the tracks, but from
I don't know. I can reach out to
to Spring Creek.
Thank you. I can reach out to Karen and get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Bailey, is there a time limit on this? If we table this, will that stop them from getting this grant?
I don't believe so. This was actually, issued right before the holidays, so I'm assuming they're expecting delays on it. They did, in the email that I received, they did not have any time restraint on this, so if you'd like to table it, I'm sure that's fine. If there is an issue, we could always ratify it after Jennifer's approval. But I don't believe usually if there is a time limit, time restraint, they let me know. I always double check too, but this one was right before the holidays.
Right.
I don't think there is. It's just delaying getting something at this point.
My concern is that part of that area, maybe all of that area is in the city.
Yeah, I know that you guys have had, there were questions during the application process. And I wish Karen was here to answer all your questions.
Yeah,
But we.
thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't causing some.
It's hard, so there's no, deadline on getting this agreement back, it's just delayed, but.
Commissioners, any? Whatever motion you guys would like for 13.
I move that we table item 13 till we have word or some notification of city's involvement. Action plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Maybe if we could just kind of get the boundaries of that, and then maybe,
I'll make sure Karen Bard at your next meeting.
okay, then she can bring a map so we can take a look at it. Appreciate it. 14, discussion regarding Albany County adopting a county property tax relief program as allowed by Wyoming State Statute 39-13-109C, Roman numeral 7. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm here today just to start the discussion. As you may or may not be aware of, that statute 39-13-109C7 became effective July 1st for the county to enter into an optional property tax refund program. The rules are very similar to the state's program that they have, which I included several of those things in the packet. The certain things like median income could change, the median property tax could change. I do know also that there is one proposed change I don't think is before LSO in the legislature yet, but to change the due dates for the county program as to be able to see what the state pays everybody so they don't get paid potentially more or what their property taxes actually. So if we go forward with this, there would of course need to be a budget to cover any of these. The last tax year was 59,000 that the state. So I would say we would probably want to look at least 80,000. Applications also are to be turned into the county treasurer's office for the county treasurer to determine eligibility and payment of these, which sounds like a great undertaking for my office, which of course we will do if you guys decide to move forward. But the state does also have a program that they use that we could probably get our hands on, but of course I can turn into the county. Unfortunately, with some personal events that happened, I wasn't able to get that information before this meeting today on the cost of that. Rules will need to be promulgated. I do have some sample where Converse County has started promulgating their rules, and they have a draft that's for public distribution, but if you would like, I can get that to you after the meeting. I also have sample applications from Sublette County, Converse County, and Teton, Converse, and Lincoln County have all already had moving forward with this and have budgets in place to cover these. We wouldn't need to have a budget in place until the fiscal year 2024 for this because any of the payments would be done by September 30th. So today, I would just like to know, A, if you're interested in moving forward with this, B, if you are interested in moving forward, what questions you have so I can come back with those answers and get started or dropping, whichever you guys.
Thanks, Tracy. Mr. Jones, any questions?
Well, I would like to move forward with this, and I know I'm not prepared to ask questions until after I've seen the materials.
In your packet, there was several things.
Right.
So
But you were talking about some other ones,
So the conversation, their track.
the ones that you were saying, okay, get your hands on. So,
Turn it back.
Yeah, just an idea of what budget we need to look at for this, what the numbers would be, you know. This was not done in 2020 and 2021, correct? State.
The state did it in, would be their fiscal year that we're in now. They did it for tax year 2021, which is we run behind. So they did do it. It's also approved for the state funded program for this next year. I do know that originally they were allotted $3 million for this program, and in the first year they used 1.8 billion. And I do believe that Governor Gordon has asked for an additional $1 million for this year to help offset that. Or it wasn't 50-50 for the 2 years.
And has that criteria changed since previous years?
No, it has not changed, other than the median income changes, for, you know, people's changes in income and the median property tax staffs amounts.
Any other questions? And Tracy, just, I'm interested in hearing more about this too. I just want to point out that Commerce County, in the Wyoming Department of Audits, it charges $2,900 per person for county government. We are $827 per person for county government. We're incredibly late. Washington County is the only other county that charges less per person for county government. So we're going to have to be very, first of all, I want to know if your office handle the additional workload. It seems like it would be a bit much, but maybe not. And then just kind of how the process works. I think that I'm impressed with the work that the county elected officials department heads do for $827. I'm not sure I want to see that go down to, because that means probably salaries and jobs. So if we can make it happen, great. But I feel as a taxpayer that I'm getting my money's worth here in Albany County. So that's my only concern about it, and the additional strain.
I'll address that. I mean, currently the state run program, state funded program, they already turn their applications into us. Many of them they've already been through the program and been approved. They get applications sent directly to them, but we actually help facilitate either mailing them in or filling them out because they are kind of a complicated form. But we do have one gal in my office that is well versed in them because she's also worked for H&R Block, and so she's very handy with that. I do believe if we were to undertake this, we want to definitely look at the software for the qualifications. Software can, for those human errors of somebody getting approved or not approved, because it's a mistake we made, I'd rather software than us personally. And yes, we per capita, we are in need, of course, but my feeling as treasurer, I feel I was elected to help protect and help our taxpayers in any way that we feasibly legally can. And I think this is a service that is important because as Chelsea can attest to, we have had taxpayers, most of them are elderly that are in a fixed income and dedicated for Social Security, that they just don't have the ability to cover all their expenses with the increases of not only just property taxes, food, electricity, power, all those things have gone up, and it's we can do just a little bit to help our people. I think we will make it work.
Tracy, is there a limit as to how many times they can apply?
No, there is no.
And there are changes being proposed by the state.
Yes.
Reading that.
Yes, and those were included in the packet as well. They are for the sense of moving our deadline to pay the taxpayers for their refund to December, so we can see what the state has paid. So we, like I said, we don't necessarily pay for the property taxes.
And the governor has recommended like $1 million more in this
for the state.
for the state funded program.
Finish out this biennium.
Super. Awesome. Well, thank you for bringing it to the attention. Any other questions? Okay,
Get you
Thank
that
you.
information.
thanks,
That's
Jake.
great.
Item 15, present for approval, road use agreement by and between the Board of Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming and Rock Creek Wind LLC for the Rock Creek Wind Project. Rob and Jennifer. Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a road use agreement. Basically, the patrol area west end. The road basically runs, there's a section right on the county line between I-80 and Highway 13. And that road runs in between there. We have approximately. It's a very low volume road. Gotta pick up this time. Bullet points for us. Increase the the also be responsible. Justification.
Rob, could you speak up? Thank you.
I think you want to talk, I will.
Yeah, I was gonna. Sorry. Dust mitigation. And then another thing that we're asking them to do is noxious weed, complying with noxious weeds and haul roads, on the haul roads within the county right of ways during the duration of your project. And the company will also need to monitor the noxious weeds 3 to 5 years following the project.
Thanks, Rob. Jennifer, anything to add?
No, the only thing I was going to tell you is for this and for all of your other things, I didn't get them emailed, so they're not in your packet, and I can't get online this morning. I was gonna send them this morning. I will send them as soon as I get back to the office. This new road use agreement or this road use agreement that we're using for Rock Creek, we have worked with Carbon County. It's similar to what they use, so we're going to use this for Rock Creek. And then for all of our wind projects going through, it's a fairly comprehensive agreement that seems to address all of the things we had in previous agreements, as well as adding additional things. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know. And we're happy to add them in there, but I feel like between Rob and I and Carbon County, it's a very solid agreement for road use for wind projects.
Commissioners,
No questions. That was just my concern that, several agreements, contracts, nothing were in our packet. And I do understand with the holidays and all of that. But Rob, you feel good, solid?
Yes.
Because I don't want to keep going on, but I really am reluctant to sign things when I haven't read them.
I know, and I do apologize for that. That was entirely my fault. So, but I did get the agreement initially from Rob, the Carbon County one. We sat down and went all through it and made the changes we needed, that we thought we needed for Albany County. And so that is the agreement that'll be in your email today.
any other questions, concerns? Well, I'd entertain a motion for item 15.
I move that we approve the road use agreement by. I approve that we approve the road use agreement by and between the Board of Albany County Commissioners and the Rock Creek Wind LLC for the Rock Creek Wind Project.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Rob. 16, present for approval contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming and AdBay.com, doing business as Kalen Marketing Solutions, creation and implementation of a strategic partner and for Albany County Public Health. Kim and Jennifer.
So I talked to Kim, you get me because I am far louder than Kim is. It's so hard to hear today. And then Kim can answer any questions that you have. This is similar. It's the exact same as the contract that we did with prevention specialists for Kalen. They have a wraparound marketing program to help both prevention, which is now under public health, and this is one is specifically for public health services. And it's a $10,000 contract with $5,000 of it being used for COVID purposes, whether that's to encourage vaccination or anything else that may come up. There's a public health emergency preparedness amount of $2,500 and a maternal child health amount of $2,500. So public health will work with Kalen to create those advertising programs and get them distributed throughout the county, all of which helps to make citizens more aware of the services that public health offers.
No, I don't have any concerns with this one since COPSA has been using Kalen Marketing. I'm very familiar with her as well as the contract.
And to your point, seemingly good results. There seems to be quite a bit that has come out that is well distributed and it's very well put together. So all of the things I've seen.
So I
Tim, go ahead.
just want to add, so, our website is just sitting there and they're helping me get that up and running and organized and using our new logo. And so a lot of the information will be on there. Since I've taken over, I don't think that anybody's really done, nobody's really manages the website. So it's not been very useful. So I think this is a good way to, they're all grants that I'm using to fund it. So I think it's a good start.
I entertain a motion for item 16.
I move that we approve item 16.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Kim?
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you. I didn't mean to sit in the middle.
Okay. Item 17, present for approval a contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Court Supervised Treatment Program and Bennett Law Group PC for attorney services for participants in an amount not to exceed $6,000 annually. Heather is here and it looks like Jennifer.
Well, and I will tell you before Heather starts, I didn't notice this before we started the meeting. This item actually needs to be removed. Items 18 and 19, we have split that amount. Oh, no, I lied to you. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Heather was in having.
Heather's like, don't tell them.
No worries. Thank you, Commissioners and Jen. Proposing a contract increase for Miss Bennett. She is our defense counsel in our adult and juvenile programs. This one is specifically for our adult program. Since I have been on board, we have done some modifications. We're sitting at about 37 out of 40 slots right now. For participants with several applications. We've started a DUI track, so it's just kind of increased Miss Bennett's duties a little bit. And so we're asking for that little bit of an increase from $400 a month to $500 a month.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions, commissioners? All right, I'd entertain a motion for item 17, please.
I move that we approve contract between the Board of Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming, and through the County Supervised Treatment Program and Bennett Law Group PC for attorney services to participants in the amount not to exceed $6,000 annually.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 18, present for approval contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Integrated Juvenile Treatment Programs Youth Empowerment Program, Bennett Law Group PC for attorney services to participants in an amount not to exceed $3,000 annually. Heather, I'll give it to you. You're muted. Or,
Oh, can you hear me okay?
gotcha, thank you.
Thank you. So this contract is, our juvenile contracts are split as to why you'll see this one and the next one due to our need to keep our federal grants separate from our state grants for these programs. So this contract specifically is for our youth empowerment program, our pre-adjudication program that we have for juveniles, and to increase Miss Bennett to $250 a month. So splitting it between the two juvenile programs.
Commissioners, any questions for Heather? I'd entertain a motion for item 18.
I move that we approve item 18 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 19, present for approval a contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Integrated Juvenile Treatment Program Support and Integration Program and Bennett Law Group PC for attorney services to participants in amount not to exceed $3,000 annually. Heather, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. On the second half of our juvenile program, this would be our post adjudication side, and just equaling out those contract services with Miss Bennett.
Any questions for Heather? Commissioners?
No.
I entertain a motion for item 19, please.
I move that we approve item 19, a contract between the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Integrated Juvenile Treatment Program Support and Integration Program and Bennett Law Group PC for attorney services to participants in the amount not to exceed $3,000 annually.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Tony, present for approval the memorandum of understanding between American Red Cross of Wyoming and Albany County Emergency Management Agency for the sheltering of assets. Let's see, Steph. So Jennifer, I think.
So
You.
this is an MOU that was requested by Steph. Albany County EMA has an American Red Cross trailer that has emergency supplies in it. They've used it for years. This memorandum of understanding after Steph came on, we realized that we did not have any kind of an agreement with American Red Cross to use that trailer, haul that trailer, or store the trailer, and who had the liability for what was going on. So there's no exchange of funds. It's merely stating that the county stores the American Red Cross trailer and has the ability to take it and use it on Red Cross sites as is necessary in their determination with a Red Cross as those things come up. So the county Red Cross owns the trailer. Red Cross carries the insurance for the trailer itself and what's in the trailer. And then the county doesn't have that responsibility and liability, but we do have permission to use it and store it.
And so Jennifer, the Red Cross has seen this MOU?
Yes.
Agrees to it?
Yes.
Any questions?
Nope.
I want to entertain. Thank you, Steph, and whoever noticed that. It's always nice to have agreements when you're using other people's stuff. I'd entertain a motion for item 20.
Move that we approve item 20 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 21. Presents for approval agreement with Power DMS for time record management services through December 2025. In the amount of $8,480 to be paid over a 2-year period. Not see Sheriff Applehands, but when he just stepped down.
Why is it just another second?
Okay. No worries. Good morning, Sheriff Applehands.
Power DMS. So this is an
added, basically an added product to what was already approved in the last commission. Time reporting internally. As we discussed at the last commissioners meeting. The current HR system that we have doesn't work. A lot of the specifics. This is the final piece of adding that so that we can have proper time reporting, electronic time reporting, which we haven't had really in the history of this year. So being able to digitize everything and get the sheriff's office. So, and the reason why it's on here now is to take advantage of the pricing that they have. Price goes up. Now it's 2023.
Commissioners, any questions for Sheriff Allen? And Sheriff, just to make sure that I'm connecting the dots here, the Power DMS that we approved before the break, policies and procedures.
So what we approved before the break was policies, procedures, and training. And so this one is now just time, which connects all three.
Super.
Scheduling.
Yep, it'll be scheduling overtime. Some minor grant management. Bailey still does a lot of it, but all the time reporting that we have to submit to grants will now be digital on there as well. So it'll streamline basically every time reporting process that we have.
Super. Well, maybe we'll pilot it with you guys. Maybe we'll need a management system for everybody.
Yeah, I know HR is in the process of doing it. It's definitely how it goes once it gets implemented, and we're pretty confident it's going to work for us. And so whether or not it'll work for the rest of the county, we'll have to figure it out.
There are no more questions. I entertain a motion for item 21.
I move that we approve the agreement with Power DMS for time reporting management services through December 2025 in the amount of $8,480 to be paid over a 2-year period.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that all is in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
22, present for approval, resolution 2023-001. Resolution approving the official holidays for employees of Albany County for the year 2023 and setting business hours for certain Albany County offices.
Here's a copy of the next 3 resolutions. I'll make any changes, obviously, that need to be made, and then I can have you come in later and sign it. That's
Okay, and I'll just read 2023-001. Do I have to read that at all? Okay. So the list of holidays would be Equality Day, 3rd Monday in January, which is January 16th. President's Day, 3rd Monday in February, February 20th. Memorial Day, last Monday in May, May 29th. Juneteenth, June 19th. Independence Day, July 4th. Labor Day, 1st Monday in September, which is September 4th. Veterans Day, November 10th. Thanksgiving Day, 4th Thursday in November, November 23rd. Day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 24th. Christmas Eve, December 22nd. Christmas, December 25th. New Year's Eve, December 29th, and New Year's Day, January 1st, 2024. And then there's a note, all county buildings will be closed to the public on Monday, October 9th, Columbus Day, for an in-house work day.
Chairman, I had one response back, and that was from Tracy regarding the last day of the calendar year. But I think your request was Tracy to stay hold on. I'll just reiterate what was in the email, but on the 29th, let me back up. The property taxes for the whole year are due December 31st. So if we close on the 29th, that then lowers the opportunities for our taxpayers to come in and pay their taxes, which that's our busy time of the year. And we also stay until all the deposits created and the money's all balanced and everything like that. And I can attest that this last week, that the 29th, which was Thursday, we had lines all day. So people are coming in to do those because they want to pay last minute. They still want that tax on their income taxes, that benefit of paying the property taxes, and they also want to be on time for their property taxes. If you wanted to, I would also consider maybe doing a half day if you guys wanted to do that. But because that also gives us time to close the books without having the staff stay over after 5.
Half day on the 29th.
Yeah, as an option.
Any questions?
And there were no other comments.
No, that was Tracy was the only one that commented. And I said to all elected officials.
And have you had, Tracy, did you have any conversations with the rest of the department heads as far as swapping out days or?
No, I had
solution?
It was a group email that went to all the
Yeah.
official department heads, everybody else, of course, is on board with the day off. I mean, yes, I love the day off, staff loves the day off, but taxpayers don't like it.
And I'm gonna say that I got numerous remarks from taxpayers that when they were not able to. And also on see, that would have been the extra, we closed on Wednesday because of the storm, which didn't materialize.
Thursday.
Okay. But then people were unhappy that they were not able to. Just a comment.
And unfortunately, yesterday, I took my dog for a walk and I saw 7 people in front of them walking around the courthouse, coming and going, noticing that the doors were locked.
Well, yeah, but that's different. That's Monday. That's a whole different topic.
No, that's Monday, but still, it's, we have to be aware of people trying to.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion, either nothing on New Year's Eve, December 29th, half day, December 29th.
Would that just be for your office or the whole courthouse?
I think it'd be super confusing if we did only my office, because people are still gonna come in for their time of work and everything. If the clerk's office is closed, then we're still gonna do service. And Commissioner Jones, sorry, it's hard to get right back on this now. This schedule is for the whole county. So if we approve a day, half day, then that's countywide. So it's for every department. It's not just specific to the courthouse. So that answers your question.
Tracy, if we had January 2nd instead of December 29th, what does that do to your processing of people's taxes?
We do honor the postmarks. So, I mean, we do get a number of tax payments in the mail. Does make us busy. Does make people still upset. So the first, January 1st, is that the Monday?
Yes, it's a Monday.
So if we took the 2nd, then that, yes, that would probably make.
I think we should do a half.
I would say historically, we have done half days before, and it is, I know for our office, we stay until we get everything on the books, and Tracy usually is waiting on us. So it would be nice to have a half day, if you're gonna take it away, or vice versa, half day would, I think, be helpful response. So,
Tracy, was there no notice this past year as far as office will be closed on the 29th or?
yes, we put notice out. I know, through my office's Facebook page, I put notices out. I started December 1st. And it's advertised in the paper too by statute.
Yeah, yeah. But you still get people coming at the last hour on that day.
Well, lots of people don't get the newspaper. Lots of people don't look at Facebook. And I think if we give them a half day, that we're kind of meeting them halfway.
All right, I entertain a motion for item 22.
I move that we amend the resolution 2023-001 to allow for half a day of work. Offices being open on December 2023.
You like that to be till noon? You like that to be till noon?
Till
Close at noon? Okay. Thank you.
For a second,
Yes.
moving and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
I,
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Carries. Right. Takes us, 23, present for approval. Resolution 2023-002, resolution designating a commissioner for the Board of Commissioners for the Albany County to serve as a liaison to each board and commission for Albany County, Wyoming. Caleb, please.
Chairman Gosar, it was brought to my attention by Sue that the first one that was initially sent out did not have. So the one you have is updated. I cannot guarantee that all of the times are correct. I will verify on that, but at least this can get us started on assigning who's going to be a liaison for each board, and then I can.
Okay. Okay. So, I don't know how you guys have me read down and then see who wants what. How would you like this to be done?
Probably as good as any.
Okay. Albany County Fair Board meets the second Monday, County Fair office at 6:30 p.m.
I would be more than happy to take the fair board. I'm very knowledgeable with the fair board and
I'm not hearing anybody else challenge you, but Fair Board's yours. Albany County Historic Preservation Board, second Monday, hasn't been the Methodist Church for a while, but you get the client, you get the thing, it's online or at the Cooper Center. Excuse me. Anybody like to have that? I've had it, but I can give it. Okay, we'll leave that open. Albany County Juvenile Services Board Steering Committee, quarterly at the County Commission Room, 1:30 to 3 p.m.
I've been sitting on that and I'd like to continue.
Albany County Mental Health Board, the fourth Monday, it's like every 6 weeks now, 10 to 11:30 a.m. I've been on that. I would like to continue on that, but can be talked out of it. Okay. Albany County Planning and Zoning Commission, it's the second Wednesday in the County Commissioners Room at 5 p.m.
I'd like to do that.
Okay. Albany County Public Library Trustee Board, the fourth Tuesday here at the Public Library at 4 p.m.
I've been on that and I'm willing to continue to serve unless someone else would like to take that on.
Okay. I'm going to take it for trade. Albany County Rec Board is quarterly in September, late October, early November, March, and late April, or early May. I've been on that. I'll continue. However, let's speak up. Okay, looks like we got it. Albany County Tourism Board, the third Monday at 4 p.m.
I've served on that prior and I would enjoy doing it again.
Okay. Albany County Weed Pest Board, first Tuesday or first Thursday at the Weed Pest Building, 6 in the winter, 7 in the spring.
I've served on that and I would enjoy doing it again.
Okay. City County Environmental Advisory Committee, first Thursday of each month, Laramie City Council Chambers. Yeah, I would like to continue that. I've been on that for a little bit now. Okay. Laramie Chamber Business Alliance, the fourth Wednesday at noon.
I've served on that. If no one else is dying for it.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Laramie Regional Airport Boards, third Wednesday, 8 a.m. I've been on that. I'd like to stay on that. Okay. The Local Emergency Planning Committee, first Monday of January, April, July, October, Fire Station 3, 12 to 1 p.m. Anybody want that?
I'd be happy to take that.
Okay. Laramie County Community College Advisory Board, first Wednesday of each month at noon.
I've been sitting on that. we'd be happy to continue.
Okay. Laramie Public Arts, says berries. Sue, you've been on that.
Yeah, I'll continue in this, where you two want to take it so that you know we meet on the second Friday of every other month from 12 till about 12:15 to 1:45.
12 to what?
12:15 to 1:45. And it's in the boardroom at the Civic Center. Are you interested in that, Terry, or
No.
should I continue?
Okay.
I just want to get the time.
Yeah.
Pilot Hill, Thursday of each month at 9 AM. So you've been on it, Terry, you've been on it before. I just never mind. Who would like that?
Terry, I'm happy to send that over to you.
No, why don't you just go ahead with it?
Okay,
Good. Let me see where your stats are. Good. 1, 2, 3. 6 for you, Sue. Terry, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm a slacker. Urban Assistance Advisory Commission, April and October if necessary. He was on that. Anybody have a 1, 2 on that one? I think they rarely meet.
I can do that.
Okay. Albany County Government Relations Ad Hoc Committee, I have been on that. It's for the department heads elected officials meeting now. I'd like to stay on that. And we meet the first Monday of each month at 3 p.m., 3:30. One of them's the agenda, 3:30, it's 3:30, yeah. Prevention Coalition, second Wednesday of the month, 12 to 2.
I've been on that and would like to continue.
Self-insurance management team, Mission Chambers varies. I'd like to add that to my list of boards. And then the last one, Town and Gown, is the Laramie PD boardroom at 8:30 a.m. on the first Wednesday.
I can do that. I've been doing
Sue, I have you as 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one with your iffy on, and then Terry, I have you as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have the Albany County Historic Preservation Board. Terry, would you take that?
I'll take it.
Thank you.
I can select
What's that?
on the second Monday, Fair Board to 6:30.
Oh,
Terry, I'll take that if you take Pilot Hill.
okay, so Sue on the Albany County Historic Preservation Board and Terry on Pilot Hill. So, 1, 2. We have 8, Terry, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 in the agenda meeting.
So do we not do the scholarships anymore?
We don't, we do the scholarships, but there's not a commissioner that sits on it. They only meet just that one time, so we do.
Okay, okay, I just want to clarify.
Okay, so I guess I'd entertain a motion, resolution 2022, or excuse me, 2023-2 as amended. Did you get those?
I move that we approve resolution 2023-002 as amended, the designations of each of us commissioners.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
I,
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. And item 24, present for approval, resolution 2023-003, resolution designating a commissioner of Board County Commission for Albany County, Wyoming, to supervise county department heads. So the department heads as listed, thank you for giving us this list. Kayla, Albany County Planner, David Gertz, Albany County Supervised Treatment Programs Director, Heather Carter, Albany County WIC Dietitian, Kristen Russell, Buildings and Ground Maintenance Supervisor, Roy Torres, Human Resources Director, Anise McDonald, IT Director, Adam Wales, Public Health Nurse Manager, Kimberly Maturi, Road and Bridge Superintendent, Rob Fisher, University Extension Educator, 4-H Youth, used to be Mary Louise Wood, but will be a new person. She's resigned. All right. How do you guys want to do this? Just
same game.
same game. All right. David, I've been doing it. I will continue to do that. If that's all right with you guys.
Yep.
All right. Albany County Supervised Treatment Program Director, Heather Carter.
I've been doing that and I'd like to continue working with Heather.
Okay. Albany County WIC Dietitian, Kristen Russell.
I've been doing that, but if one of you want to take Kristen, she's so easy, but I'm happy to continue.
Okay. So Building and Ground Maintenance Supervisor, Roy Torres.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, Terry. Human Resources Director, Anissa McDonald.
Since Anissa is still fairly new, and I've been with her, I'd like to continue.
Okay. IT Director, Adam Wales, I've done that. We'll continue. If you think it's all right, you guys. All right. Public Health Nurse Manager, Kimberly Maturi. I've been doing that. I'll do it again unless somebody else. I think it's down to me and you, Terry.
Go ahead.
Okay, and I think that leaves the last two for you, Rob, and the new 4-H youth. Okay. I entertain a motion for resolution 2023-003 as amended.
I move that we approve resolution 2023, resolution designating a commissioner of the Board of Albany County Commissioners for Albany County, Wyoming, to supervise department heads as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate that. Item 25, acknowledge receipt of letter of resignation from Jeffrey Tyne from the Albany County Planning and Zoning Commission to direct the clerk to advertise the vacancy, and that letter was in the packet. I entertain a motion for item 25.
I move that we acknowledge the receipt of letter of resignation from Jeffrey Tyne from the Albany County Planning and Zoning Commission, directed to advertise.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 26, discuss and accept fiscal year 2021-2022 Albany County audit. Jason looks like he is here. Jason, good morning. The floor is yours.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me do this presentation over Zoom. Very much appreciated. Hope you had a good. We're gonna have a good new year here, hopefully. See Terry, good to see you. Sue and Pete as well. So here's the thing: is do you all have a copy of the PDF file, the audit report?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't in the packet, it was sent by email.
Okay, that's great. So what I'll do is I'm going to walk through the report. I'll try to keep it brief, like maybe 15 minutes. And if there's any questions, as I go along, it can be a little bit awkward on Zoom. So, it's okay to raise your hand or it just interrupt me, that kind of a thing. But the audit, it takes us a lot of effort to get through this work. Your year end is June 30th, and both my team and the team there at Albany County have worked hard to get to this place where we have the final report in front of you all. We did submit this audit report to the Wyoming Department of Audit last week, so it met the deadline. But we're pleased to provide this report. In connection with this report, the purpose of it is for us to form an opinion over these financial statements. All right. And the way that we form an opinion over the financial statements is by the work that we do. So when you look at the statement of net position or the governmental funds balance sheet, for example, my team of professionals and myself, we go in and we design procedures over every transaction class. And the extent of testing is based on risk and the risk assessment that we perform. And so we go in and we look at cash. We look at confirming all of the bank balances directly with the banks. We go in and we test capital assets. We test receivables, payables. We design a variety of different tests to test those account balances and make sure that they're accurate. And all of that work provides us a basis to be able to form an opinion over these financial statements. And, you know, in the PDF file, if you turn to page 5 of the PDF file, that is the independent auditor's reports. And the first paragraph at the top there, it says opinions. And it is our opinion that these financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with GAAP. So there's a clean opinion over the financial statements. In connection with forming that opinion over the financial statements, in addition to the work that we do, we also gain an understanding of the internal control structure and environment that is there at the county. And in cases where we find that there can be improvements, to the extent that we consider the need for improvement to be significant or material, then we report those matters to you. So what I'd like to do is we're going to turn further back into the audit report. We're going to go to page 67 of the PDF file. So page 67 of the PDF file, the title of that page says Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting and on Compliance and Other Matters in accordance with government auditing standards. So whenever we perform audits in accordance with government auditing standards, we gain this understanding of the internal control structure. And then we utilize that understanding in connection with designing the tests over the different transaction classes. And again, we're required to report any deficiencies that are considered significant or deficiencies that are considered to be material weaknesses. In the current year, we do have one matter to report as a significant deficiency in this area. And I'll talk about that now. What we'll do is we'll turn further back in the report to page 73 of the PDF file, or page 64 of the report itself. And this finding is entitled 2022-001. And you can see there that the title of it is Misclassification of Transactions, Significant Deficiency. So the condition, I'll read this condition to you of what we found. We found that the county has recorded certain internal transfers as revenues and expenses that were not easily identifiable. And there's a difference between transfers and revenues and expenses, right? And then furthermore, we found instances where the county received deposits and made payments to third parties where revenues and expenses were not recorded. And so our recommendation here is, you can see we recommend that the county focus on tracking internal transfers and reporting revenues and expenses when appropriate. Furthermore, if the accounting software currently utilized does not provide enough functionality, the county should consider upgrading their current subscription or utilizing a different software. And so in the response from the treasurer's office, we can see this response found on page 74 of the PDF file. Tracy provided a nice response here. And you could go ahead and, I'm not going to go ahead and read her response out loud, but you could later take the time to read through this. But it seems that it's a appropriate response, and the feedback that we got when we were questioning why certain transactions weren't classified correctly, it was the discussion centered around the limited functionality with the software. And so it seems that the treasurer's office and clerk's office, that they're kind of looking into other software options. And as auditors, we're not necessarily recommending one or another, but we do recommend that the transactions are recorded appropriately in accordance with GAAP. So now, before we move on to the other finding that we have to report, are there any questions?
Yeah, Jason, this is probably been, the internal transfers have been not just brand new this last year. How come it wasn't picked up sooner? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, so I think that this is the thing, is we have different focuses from year to year in our audits. We've been helping with these transfers in the past in terms of making sure that they're properly categorized when they get presented into the audit, because the audit is required to be presented in accordance with GAAP. But yeah, we've been aware of this, but in the past, we didn't consider it significant. I think that in the current year, we've begun to see that, hey, there are certain transactions that would have been missed and wouldn't have been reported appropriately had we not asked enough questions on it. And so we just got to a point where we're like, hey, our judgment of this went from being a deficiency where it wasn't reported to you all in this context to being significant. And I do think that we see that we audit a number of other counties, and we're not seeing other counties that are having this issue. And that's partly why our assessment of just regular deficiency up to being a significant deficiency changed in the current year.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing I'd like to discuss, if we can turn to page 69 of the PDF file. On page 69 of the PDF file, this is entitled the Independent Auditor's Report on Compliance for each major program and on internal control over compliance as required by the uniform guidance. So what happens is whenever a government agency or nonprofit organization receives over $750,000 of federal money and they expend that money, then you're required to have an audit like this, where we go in and we take a look at, we determine, first of all, what is the major program? And there's a whole, book dedicated to determining that. And we follow the rules as set forth by uniform guidance in determining which program must be selected. In the current year, there was only one major program selected, and not surprisingly, right? It was the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, because of the large amount of dollar value there. And there's still money to be spent under that grant, right? But some of it was spent in the current year. And so that is the major program that we looked at. We do have one finding to report. If you turn with me to page 73 of the PDF file, that's page 64 of the report. So this is 2022-002, that finding. It's entitled CFA Preparation, Significant Deficiency. It kind of, correlates somewhat as well. And this kind of helps, maybe Pete, with your question previously. It helps as well with our assessment of changing it from deficiency to significant deficiency, is that the CFA that was presented to us had an internal transfer between two fund codes that was reported as an expenditure, but it really was just a transfer between the two, and that money, some of it still is yet to be spent. And because of that, the CFA that was provided to us was misstated. And so we've just recommended that management take greater care to identify internal transfers, ensuring that transfers are not reported on the CFA. And so those two findings, they are somewhat related, I believe. And it's just being cognizant of that. Here's the thing is, we've marked both of these in the scale of findings, right? The worst type of most severe finding we can report is a material weakness. Below that is a significant deficiency. And then we have deficiencies where we have, we've had discussions with management of like, hey, let's make improvements here and there and the other. But those don't make their way into the report because they're just not significant enough to talk about in a setting like this. And so both of these, being tagged as significant deficiencies, we do want to see improvements being made here, but also putting it in context. I'm not overly concerned about these. We need improvement here, right? And I think management has a plan to bring improvement going forward, but we weren't seeing money that was intentionally being hidden, or transactions that were intentionally being hidden, or money that was being misappropriated. I wasn't seeing that in connection with these findings. And so keeping it in context, while improvement needs to be made, I don't believe that there should be some sort of an overreaction to these findings. Just simply, let's make improvement, make some improvement in the software system and go forward. Any questions about either of these two findings before I move on to talking about the financial statements?
Only, Jason, that, so in the future, will you be looking for these two areas to be remedied?
I will. And it's going to take a little bit of time, because the software, right? Like part of the recommendation is to look at the functionality within the software. But if you guys decide to either upgrade the current software subscription or to get a new software subscription with another entity, that might take some time. And so in the meantime, what we're looking for from management is for them to go in to the accounts and to identify those for us and present it to us. And then what we'll do is we'll test that and see, hey, have they identified all of those internal transfers and presented that to us? Have they identified items that were not recorded as revenues and expenses but should have been? And have they presented that to us? And to the extent that that's presented to us, even if it's on the side, not necessarily inside of the system, if it's presented to us, then we will consider that for downgrade and just calling it maybe just a deficiency next year until you get the software in place, because it's going to take some time with that software. It always does. Software changes can be, very arduous. So.
Thank you.
All right, voter on, Jason, please.
All right, will do. Okay, so, this next part, I just want to quickly go over a few of the financial statements themselves and discuss those. So we're going to turn to page 23 of the PDF file. This page, 23 of the PDF file, 17 of the printed version, is entitled the Statement of Net Position. Now, this statement folds together all assets, both short and long-term assets, all liabilities, both short and long-term liabilities, and gives you a full picture of what's going on here at the county. You can see that, hey, there is a good amount of unrestricted net position there at the bottom, $9.4 million. So that's positive there. When we look over the total assets, those are looking good. You do have in the current year to note the unearned revenue related to the grant that we just spoke of for $5.5 million. It's because you have not yet spent some of that money as of June 30th. Remember, this is June 30th, so 6 months ago, that balance sheet date. And so overall, looking positive, the results there of that statement of net position. If we go on to the next page, on page 24, this is the statement of activities. This shows the results of the county on a full accrual basis for the year. And you can see that there was a positive change in the net position in the current year of 1,353,771. If you look kind of towards the bottom there, it says change in net position. You can see that there's positive results there. Now that does include a number of non-cash type transactions and accruals. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this from a different perspective, where it doesn't include all long-term assets and long-term liabilities on there. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do that on page 25 of the PDF file, 19 of the report. This is the governmental funds balance sheet. And this does not include some of those capital assets and some of those other long-term liabilities that the county has. So looking at it from a different perspective, and you can see that there's a healthy, positive, unassigned fund balance there at the bottom of 17.4, almost $17.5 million. So that's positive. And that includes, you know, up above, this still does show the unearned revenue of $5.5 million. Now, if we scroll down 2 pages lower, the page in between is a reconciliation. And while as an auditor, I'd probably like nothing more than to talk about a reconciliation. I don't know that you want to. So we'll skip over that. We'll go to page 27 of the PDF file. 21 of the report. Now here you can see what are the results for the current year. And you can see that, you know, without all the non-cash transactions that were happening, you know, on the statement of activities that we looked at previously. And you can see that, hey, there was still positive results of a positive change in fund balance of $1.6 million. So I look at that and it seems that, hey, you all must be doing a decent job of getting the budget put together and being prudent with your resources, because you're able to tuck away a little bit more money that you'll be able to use in the future. And so with that, you know, I could keep going. But sometimes this is about when I lose folks. And so if there's any more like specific questions or specific pages that you want me to talk about or elaborate on, I'd be more than happy to do that. Yeah, any comments?
Jason, commissioners, anything? Man, I'd like to geek out with that reconciliation statement with you, Jason, but let's like keep it. These poor people having to watch that. So
right.
I guess the takeaway I get from the audit is mostly doing what we're supposed to be doing as I see it. And then there are just 2 items that we can certainly clean up, whether it be software induced or process induced, probably a little bit of both in all of this. Are there things that you have said, hey, this could raise itself to a significant finding that you've just communicated to the different offices? Is that part of the process, Jason? So you let people know ahead of time, like, hey, this might be a problem. Could you work on it over the coming years? Is that something you do?
Yeah, that is something that we do. And I think that's one of the things that we've done, like with the findings we had in the current years. We've had these discussions kind of previously, and that's a challenge, right? There's nothing that comes to mind right now in terms of the discussions that we had with management for the past. I think that audits are an interesting thing because I'm required under my standards to point out the deficiencies, right? But I'm not so much allowed to give golden stars and saying, hey, in writing at least, to say, hey, they're doing a nice job. But I do believe that's the case with both the treasurer's and clerk's office and everyone else that we've worked with. We've found folks to be professional, courteous, and they care, you know, and they're trying their best. And you know, I think so I like that. That's your takeaway, is like, hey, there's a few things for improvement. For the most part, yeah, things are going well, and we didn't find any other problems that are worth noting. But you know, as auditors, we've served Albany County for a number of years now, and when we come in, we try every year to look at things fresh and get a new perspective and a new audit plan in place. And we have different focuses from one year to the next. Some of it is driven by the GASB because of different standards that come out, but some of it is just internally the way that I lead our team is that we're always trying to challenge assumptions and try to help our clients to improve and help our audit as well to improve. And we're certainly fortunate to have a variety of counties that we serve. And this helps us to say, hey, you know, we saw this with this county in Utah, or we saw this count with this county in Wyoming, and the different counties we serve. And we try to help, you know, lift our counties and provide a benefit there, in addition to, of course, the opinion that we provide over the financial statements. That is a focus of ours. So.
Thanks, Jason. Commissioners, any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share with us, Jason, on this audit?
No, just appreciate all the help and cooperation we receive from management, and we look forward to working with you all again in the future. So.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jason.
Jason. Just like to acknowledge all the departments, but especially our county clerk and treasurer. They do a great job. And not that I ever doubted it. But to me, this actually just is a stamped saying that they do such a good job. And thank you, Tracy. I like your comment, and you'll take it down yourself and look at it. And you know, we need to get some new software. By all means, move that forward.
I echo that, and Bailey, thank you too, also for, you know, there's been a lot of grant money that has flown through in the last few years. Difficult stuff to account for, and so I really do appreciate that work. So with just these, I find that to be like, man, if you just do that, you did a wonderful job, because that was a lot, and it's difficult to deal with. So thank you all for that.
And I think that Albany County does an excellent job. And to have two, but are really minor little steps that we need to correct, which sounds to me like it's software, that's a phenomenal report. And thank you everyone for all your work.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
Okay, see ya. Bye-bye.
I'd entertain a motion for item 26 then.
Move that we accept the fiscal year 2021-2022 Albany County audit.
For a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 27, approved vouchers for December 2022. Entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the vouchers for December.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 28, executive session pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405A triple I. Entertain a motion.
Move that we exit regular session and move into executive session pursuant to Wyoming -4-405A triple I.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Leaving a regular session at 11:15, entering executive session. Get those doors. me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Here. We're ready? Okay, item 30, return to regular session. I would entertain a motion to leave executive session to return to regular session.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have action out of the executive session. I'd entertain a motion to that action.
Yes, I move that we approve the request for the budget change for investigation expenses within the sheriff's office of up to 15,000 to be taken from the miscellaneous expenses.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. I think it's miscellaneous. Subcommittee 1%.
I'm committed.
That's all right. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 31 adjourned, seeing no more business before the Albany County Commission on January 3rd, 2023, 11:30 a.m. Call meeting adjourned, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah. First one under the belt, Kayla, or